Something a bit different this week. I've been looking back at my fishing since Christmas. The river was a bit of a washout last winter. I had some family matters to deal with that took up a lot of time. So chances to get out fishing on the local rivers were very limited. And what with the floods, I did some still water fishing. But a couple of patterns have emerged, and while I'm talking about this, I'm going to share a little bit of fishing that sort of illustrates what I'm talking about. The first one is that roach fishing is under a lot of threat from cormorants. It's harder and harder to catch decent roach locally. There are still some monsters around, some 2-pounders, but time and time again finding that there aren't that many roach. I've just had the worst season for many years on the Dorset Stour, and over the last 3 years each season has got worse, and instead of catching anything up to 1,000 or so roach in a season, not even getting 200 now, and very few of any size, just a few small ones. And on still waters there's a similar pattern. There are still some decent roach on the still waters, but they're becoming fewer and fewer. So there are some, had the odd net one, but instead of plenty of sort of, 4 to 8 ounce ones, and the odd ones 12 ounces and a pound plus, now struggling to get the odd sort of 8 ounce one, and that's not very good. But other fish are still around, decent fish that the cormorants aren't getting. On the Stour, I did a couple of sessions where I caught 5 and 6 chub in a couple of hours fishing, ledgering bread on a 10. I did fish just after Christmas on the Froome, had a couple of grayling that averaged close on £2, one over, one just under. Nice fish, one of the few days it was fishable. So recently I'd had a session on a local pond and I made a video out of it. I had a couple of net roach and plenty of small ones. I thought I might get some skimmers. I didn't, 1 or 2 hybrids. And I thought about this. Don't get me wrong, I like fishing with fine line, small hooks, proper match rods, £2 main line, even £1.50, little shot down the line, a maggot or two on a 22 or a 20, fine wire. Real finesse fishing, it's good stuff. But during that session I noticed that there were fish rolling, and I actually caught a glimpse of one of them, and I could see it was a tench, good tench. The tench on that water don't go massive. I've heard reports of 7 and 8 and 9 pounders. I've yet to see evidence of that, but there's definitely 6 pounders in there. So looking back at that approach of trying to catch bigger fish that aren't roach on the local waters, so whether that's chub on the river or barb and bream on the river, or tench and bream on still waters, maybe that's going to be a better bet. So what I did on my latest session, and I've been sort of showing you that as a background, or I'll show you as a background, was to tackle up with a Carbotech number 2 rod with a Shimano reel, some 4-pound sensor line, not that great line, but it's tough, a size 12 hook, I think it's 2 Bettini 808, strong, good strong sharp hooks, and to fish with baits, to feed pellets, and to fish with expander pellets and pearl barley on the hook, to see if I could get out of this rut of catching basically tiddlers. And so it proved. I ended up fishing for 3 hours, started off getting bites almost straight away from probably skimmers, the odd roach. Did catch 1 or 2 roach of sort of 3 or 4 ounces, and the skimmers went from sort of 4 or 5 ounces up to a pound plus. And it wasn't long before I started to pick up proper bream. I think the first decent one was about £3, And later in the session I caught a couple of, I weighed one at 4.5, another one of the same size. And I switched during the session from expander pellet to pearl barley. That seemed to do well. And eventually I thought maybe let's try expander pellets again. I went back to the pellets, got a 3.5 pound tench, which was very nice. 1 or 2 more bream. And finished off with a really nice tench, over 6 pounds. And looking at this whole approach, I think it's the one I need to adopt for this summer to see how I get on, to fish the Stour instead of flogging away with hempen tears, catching half a dozen roach with one, maybe 8 ounces, to maybe try and find those big chub. It's been a couple of years since I caught one over 4 pounds, which is ridiculous considering how many big ones are in the Stour. The upper Stour, you tend to get them 4 pounders pretty good up there, plenty of 3 pounders, but on Throop there's 5 and 6 pounders and bigger still. Plenty of good bream in there. On the upper Stour there's some tench, and the same on still waters to fish for these better fish. It's a different approach, it needs slightly different gear. I've got the gear, I can soon get the baits, and I look forward to seeing what I can pull out. That's it for this week, fairly brief one. Hope you've enjoyed the background. The bird song yesterday on when I was fishing up in the woods was absolutely amazing. So we'll fade out with a bit of bird song. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.